Students of Reddit, what was your school's big scandal? Via, who was gay and had sexual relations with a guy who was a minor without knowing he was a minor. He left the school, but I believe did not face any legal repercussions because it was clear that he had been deceived into thinking the individual was an adult / could legally give consent. Happened to a friend of mine, met at a party. He was 18, she claimed to be 17. They hooked up. A month later she thinks she's pregnant and her parents end up getting the story out of her. Turns out she was 14. Yeah, she ended up not being pregnant, thank God, but her parents filed charges against him. He was never convicted BC. There were enough witnesses that could back him up from the party, and I even think she eventually caved and went on record stating she had lied about her age. I had to give a statement. It all worked out in the end, but it was a scary few months there. The reality is though you can be charged with statutory RE even where you've been deceived. Intent to sleep with an underage person is not an element of that crime. Couple things happened at my school. One of the pet teachers basically sexually assaulted a lot of girls while teaching gymnastics. We also had like 10 people from the same grade picked up by police because they were selling drugs in school, and I mean like a lot of drugs. All the drugs. Definitely more than 6. Was during my sophomore year. A male super senior was having sex with a female freshman in the women's restroom. The hell is a super senior? Someone who has to repeat senior year, usually over 18. In my senior year, one of the popular football players was killed while he was driving drunk. It was obviously big news on campus, and just a few days after, the school had this giant memorial on our football field dedicated to talking about how great of a guy he was and how he'll be dearly missed. He also got like 5 consecutive pages in our yearbook dedicated to him, but not long before his death, a less popular band student had committed suicide and his death didn't receive nearly as much coverage. He didn't get a giant memorial and he didn't get mentioned in our yearbook. One girl made this giant rant about this double standard on Facebook, and it went viral around our campus. Our school was split. Some people praised her for pointing it out. Others were pissed and said that what she did was inappropriate. Even one of my English teachers defended the football player. She said that his death was a tragic accident, whereas the band student chose to die, and that there's a big difference. This girl went on to leave the school because she was getting death threats from friends of the football player, and our entire campus was completely divided over this whole incident. Football player chose to die with poor choices. If you plan on drinking, don't bring your effing car. Simple as that. Not sure why this isn't just common knowledge. His death was a tragic accident, whereas the band student chose to die. Yikes, 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 yikes. Drunk driving is also choosing to die. WTF. Teach. If anything, the suicide should be considered more tragic because he chose to die because he felt his life was that effing terrible. Sheesh. Sounds like a shitty situation for everyone around. She's completely right though. They're teenagers. Their death is almost always a tragedy even when self-inflicted. Saying a kid who killed themselves doesn't deserve a memorial because they chose to die is some sick victim blaming. Also, not to mention drinking alcohol and driving is a choice. But still, the tragedies shouldn't be compared of who deserves more attention. They should just get the same chance to be mourned. I saw this kind of double standard at my high school too. When a popular, good-looking person killed themselves, people flipped. I felt awful for that student, but was unbelievably frustrating to see the comments people were writing. Because this person was good looking and popular, that fact was continuously repeated, and people couldn't fathom how they could kill themselves. Not even a fraction of this attention was given to previous students who had died or killed themselves. It's depression. Depression doesn't know faces or status. We currently have a lawsuit against our district. The nurses are claiming harassment against an intermediate principal, and the district refused to step in. Apparently the nurses caught him having an affair and told his wife. He pinned one against a wall and demanded to see her phone. Bless those nurses, if it was true. Not that juicy, but the basketball coach / gym / sex ed teacher was a teacher who clearly hated working with wee little shits like us. So some of us did some investigating how he came to be our phys ed teacher. Turns out he had been a basketball coach for one of the top university teams in the country just 5 blocks away from our school. But he violated ethics codes by playing players who were academically unable to play, and had evidence of him talking to professors about their grades. got sacked, and our high school basketball scholarship / private type jumped at the opportunity to pick up a coach banged from university leagues. Of course he'd have to run gym class and teach 13-year-olds about their changing bodies as well. Guy really lucked out. Most middle school teachers I met hated. At that age kids are so hormonal and violent. I remember witnessing students curse at teacher, steal things from teachers, attack teachers to look cool in front of their friends. Chemical E student in our engineering school was making high quality meth to pay for his schooling. Got caught his senior year right before graduation. You know he couldn't have done it himself. I feel like your science teacher, Mr. White, may have helped him. I guess the biggest scandal was when a teacher tried to kill herself and failed. On the lighter side, the vice principal wrecked his car one night coming back from a school football game. Somehow he had managed to hit a dead cow on the side of the road. For the rest of the year he got subjected to random moos when he walked down the halls. Teacher and student were arguing about something. Student got in teacher's face. Teacher yelled at him to get out. Student said no. Teacher spat in student's face. Student pushed him against blackboard. Video ends. This class was hella annoying though. There are so many videos about them harassing the teacher. One guy rolled a cig in class next to the teacher. I think he was expelled, and multiple students as well. I'm out of school now, but in high school it was discovered that a student had attempted to print the statistics exam to study before the test. This was found out in the morning when the teachers went into the math office, put more paper in the printer, and out came the exam that the stats teacher did not print. Now, cheating at my high school was punishable by expulsion, so the teachers all flipped out. This was fall exams, so we had a whole year of school assemblies where we all got talked to. I was a sophomore at the time and only seniors took stats, but they were basically trying to get anyone who knew something to talk. No one ever said a word. No one guy got in trouble. Nothing. We even talked about it after the seniors graduated and no one knew anything. So either someone is amazing at keeping secrets or the stats teacher printed it by accident and didn't realize and found in the morning because the printer ran out of paper. So on the day ahead of a huge event that was going to happen in the auditorium of our school, someone pissed on the audio equipment in the auditorium of our school and it ended up not working anymore. The principal announced that anyone who was a witness and who could tell them who the culprit is would receive 500 euros from the school. Turns out it was someone from our neighboring class, and probably 8 to 10 guys from that class went into the principal's office to rat him out and receive the money. Just that the majority of them who went there were just claiming to have witnessed it to receive money as well. The guy got expelled from school and had to pay for new audio equipment, which was probably at least around 4,000 euro. Though IDK whether everyone who ratted him out ended up receiving the 500 euros or not. Well, there are a bunch of kids who smoke and vape in the bathrooms, but last year the physics teacher had a huge thing for underage girls. Our school chilled a dish on a pizza and pulled little turds up to look like sausage and sent it to the rival school. The biggest scandal there ever was in my school was on the news. Some student left a racist and homophobic note on a black gay teacher's desk. It basically said that he should be ashamed of being gay and that little black pussies shouldn't be allowed in a school. Really bad. Reporters were all over the school. The teacher filed the report to the cops, but they were never able to catch the one who did it. This one is just really sad. Think about the embarrassment and heartbreak this teacher felt for literally pursuing a career in trying to help There was a white kid who had a black baby mannequin to take care of for a week for some project to see if he would be a responsible parent. He hung the baby on a tree outside of the school, expelled and made news on the local paper. Beside that, not much. I was given a black baby for what sounds like the same assignment and was called Obama's father for about 2 days. My high school did a block lunch where everyone ate lunch at the same time instead of separating them into A, B, C lunches. Because our cafeteria couldn't fit the entire student body, it was normal for kids to be eating in the hallway, on the floor, or at tables all throughout the school. One day during lunch, unbeknownst to the staff and student body, our app decided to hold a lockdown drill. He got on the intercom and told everyone there was an active shooter in the cafeteria in order to see how kids would react had it been a real shooting. Turned into pure anarchy. Kids calling 911. running out of school and not returning to class after the drill was over, kids having anxiety attacks while hiding in classrooms, dying calls from students to parents. It was pretty bad. Should I mention how this was several days after the Parkland shooting? Bro, did he get fired? My history teacher blackmailed the girls who weren't doing so good on his class. He exchanged good grades for nudes. How did everyone find out? I don't know the exact facts, but the official story is a student was using his girlfriend's phone and found the chat with the teacher. Then he took it to the school administration and hit the fan. Had a few. High school math teacher got a DUI on a tractor and was fired. PNCS teacher had an affair while both were married to other people. They eventually both divorced and ended up marrying each other. Accounting teacher married a student about a week after she graduated. Rumor was that they were already sleeping together when she was 16. And she was pregnant before graduation as well by the teacher. A couple bomb threats. Alex, what is growing up in Kentucky, Iowa but close enough. At the end of my senior year, we had bomb threats about 2 to 3 times a week. One of them was written in lipstick on the mirror of one of the girls' bathrooms. It said, "Bomb Minina." It was so ridiculous. Like this had us standing out in a grass field for hours while the police checked the building. Were they trying to say Manina? Lol. Hahaha yes. That's what made it so ridiculous. The summer after I graduated, the principal was caught propositioning underage teenage male prostitutes. Underage teenage male prostitutes. I'm sorry, what? He liked to have sex with boys under the age of 18. He was caught trying to buy it, but I understand he was not above looking for it closer to home. That is, within the high school he was a principal of. Turns out my geography teacher was a pedophile with several thousand accounts of child pornography on their computer. How did they find him out? Our class had been told he was ill, and we were quite sympathetic until half a year later, when it was in the local news. The school tried to hide it but failed. A bunch of seniors were having a graduation party in the woods. One of them passed out drunk, rolled into a 6-inch deep culvert and drowned. They didn't notice he died until morning. That's just sad and unfortunate. Someone burned down one of our buildings. Oh, I forgot all about the student crime. In middle school a kid broke in one night to the building with the library. He piled up a bunch of books and set them on fire. Plus he stole some stuff. One of the things he stole was a t-shirt from a fundraiser display. He got busted because he wore the shirt, a shirt no one else would have. He piled up a bunch of books and set them on fire. Maybe his English teacher made him read Fahrenheit 451, and it inspired him in the wrong way. Must have been a bad fundraiser. A couple of kids burnt down our 6th form building by setting deodorant on fire in the direction of a crack in one of the outside walls. Turns out there was a gas pipe on the other side. The rest is history. A string of deaths 3 years in a row was finally broken when some guy jumped out a 2-story building but lived. Every year in my school one student would die. Freshman year, we had a guy commit suicide because of bullying. Sophomore year a girl gets hit by a car. And junior year, a guy gets a heart attack at 17. Senior year was the only year I heard of with no deaths. My engineering college had a point suicide problem of sorts. One of the ways they dealt with this was requiring all freshmen to take physical activity 101/102, which is like gym class, except the coach doesn't actually care what you do, as long as it's not studying. Basically, force these damn nerds to walk around for a bit and speak to another human twice a week. In middle school the athletics director was caught putting cameras in the girls' locker room. Our female pet teacher in 6th grade was caught touching the girls. Then, a male high school pet teacher and wrestling coach got busted for porn and touching kids, and set himself on fire in his home. I was in the showers are no longer mandatory, and please wear swim trunks in the pool generation. Even as a kid I could tell something was wrong with both of them, and now looking back, I wonder how many social cues I missed. Like if I was an unaware daydreaming kid and still felt weirded out, what would have registered as an adult or one of the kids' parents? Even hearing stories about the female pet teacher always had me thinking other adults don't do these things, why does she? Nobody who would ever harm a kid would walk into a private room full of naked kids. Right. Jesus F. And not just that. 2 scout leaders, 2 priests, 2 doctors and a cop, and however many clergy the church was covering up for. And for such a small town, all of us were so close together and everyone around us were effing monsters. I'm pretty sure my high school English teacher had serious relationships with at least 5 girls from junior to senior year, and that's just who I knew. I can't imagine however many others I never heard about, like locked door lunches type deal. Teacher sent nudes to a kid because the kid pretended to be a different person on a dating website. Teacher left. Kid was expelled. It was in 2007, but my high school had a string of bomb threats. There was a bathroom where no cameras could see who went in or out, and someone wrote in Sharpie across one of the stall doors, "There's a bomb in the school with that day's date." The school was evacuated, and we all went home. For the next few months, there was a bomb threat seemingly every Friday. We'd be in the middle of the first or second period, then we'd all go home. After we missed enough days, we all had to come in on several Saturdays, and the bomb threats stopped. We also had a bunch of bomb threats around the same time, but they caught the guy doing it. I guess he had a couple of tests he didn't want to do, so he used the bomb threats to force an evacuation. To get extra time, the school held a special assembly, just for the sole purpose of making him apologize in front of the whole school. He cried the entire time. When I was in high school, someone left a spoiled milk jug in the hallway, and since it was bloated or something, they treated it as a bomb threat and evacuated the building for the rest of the day. It was forever known as the milk jug bomb incident. This actually came out during my last semester there, but it had been happening for years. One of the English teachers had been having sex with a few select students every year. Most were football players. It got really weird. When I had her class, it wouldn't be out of place if a student from another class asked to go to the bathroom and just went to her room to see her. One day some kid brought her a drink from McDonald's because he was late to school and got breakfast. It only came out because there was this one girl who was in an argument with her for some reason and said something along the lines of, "That's why you F your students." And the whole incident got brought up to the office and they interviewed everyone. Found out she'd had sex with multiple students for the past few years. Some students put pins into the sewing teacher's coffee. Luckily the teacher was okay, but it definitely could have been worse. Chemistry teacher spilled mercury in the lab at my high school. She tried to clean it up herself, which only further contaminated the lab, and didn't tell anyone about the spill. She was arrested, and it cost the school $60,000 to have it cleaned up. Don't know what happened regarding her charges. Happened at my school too. Another kid and I had to clean the chemistry lab for detention in 7th grade. He spilled about a cup of mercury, stored in an open beaker, on the floor. Science teacher made us clean it up by scooping it up with index cards. This was in the late 80s. Never reported and absolutely no one gave a completely different time, man. We used to dump it out and push the droplets around on the desks. Chemical teacher just told us not to eat it. Kid Street, my school, stole some from the science lab and got caught playing with it in the bus. They were pushing it back and forth in the treads down the middle of the aisle. EPA had to come and everybody had their shoes confiscated. We had a senior male student in my high school who knocked up a freshman and the Spanish teacher within like a week of each other. Dios mío. You mean Dios mío. Damn. He should have wrapped the burrito before bringing it to the fiesta. Not my school, but the small town high school where my kids now attend. Married female office admin sexes up a female student. Goes to jail for a few years. 10 years later, husbands of both women find out they have secret cell phones and have been carrying on a relationship off and on since the older one got out of prison. That sounds like a Lifetime movie. I've posted it before, but having a hard time finding it. Anyways, an English teacher slapped a kid in class and retired that week. The dream of plenty a teacher. Isn't it a dream for us all? On my last day before retirement, I wanted to slap the principal and go outside at dismissal and yell at all the driving parents who were disregarding law and common sense, nearly running over children daily. As a runner on the school's cross-country team, the number of times I've almost been run over by crazy parents, including my own mother, is insane. A girl got pregnant and told everyone the father was our English teacher. Turns out no one even knows who the father is, her included. Was she just effing all of the boys in the school? That's the craziest part. The was effing all the men in her village and the villages around. This was 10 years ago, my first day of high school. I get home after school and my mom is watching the news. A senior killed his social worker with a chainsaw and then stabbed his mom a couple times. After that he went for a walk and listened to music. They caught him all bloody and everything. The biology teacher was having an affair with the principal. Yeah, my principal was having sex with every teacher. I was homeschooled, though. They had us in the first half. It's downright wholesome to see age-appropriate sex scandals in schools. A 16-year-old sending nudes to a 12-year-old in a Baptist school. Did he get in trouble? Yes, he was kicked out and used as an example of what not to do. Girl attempted suicide in the girls' bathroom. Guy got caught having sex with a teammate in the locker room after practice. 3 girls caught snorting coke in the bathroom. Someone was boinking a teacher, but we never found out who. Teacher resigned. Someone put red hots in the hand dryer in the boys' bathroom, and it caught fire. 4 years of school. 3 fire alarm pulls. Growing up in a 3K population town in the middle of effing nowhere was crazy as hell sometimes. These events were over my 4 years of high school. Teacher sucked a kid's dick during my senior year. He showed a few people the video. Then he proceeded to move to California. She still works there to this day. Empty balls make safe halls. This got more attention than I thought, so I have to credit Andrew Schultz for the joke. 2 years ago, a senior brought in a sex doll for Secret Santa. He then brought it to the senior room and essentially had a fake gangbang with it with 20 other people. That's just group masturbation with extra steps. Ooh la la. Someone's gonna get fake gangbanged in college. When I was in primary school, 9-yo, a kid from 1st grade caught my teacher and the principal doing it in his office. Mrs. Crabapple and Principal Skinner were in the closet making babies, and I saw one of the babies, and then the baby looked at me. A woman with severe medical issues, both physical and mental deficiencies, snuck away from her group home and hid in the broom closet of our cafeteria for 2 days. She ate all of our garlic bread, took someone's jacket, and walked out 36 hours later. This was in 2007. We didn't have cameras or anything and no one saw her go in or out. They only knew she was there because the jacket had the name of the high school, and when she was found she straight up told the police she had been hiding in there for 2 days. The group home said she had been missing for roughly a day and a half. Parents were upset obviously, but nothing changed until last year when the school shut down due to low attendance admission enrollment. She ate all of our garlic bread, took someone's jacket, and walked out 36 hours later. Power move. Low attendance as in too few students or people not coming to school. Sorry, that was a weird way to word that. It was low admission enrollment. This was a private school and the final summer, before they shut down, there were only 14 incoming freshmen. My sophomore year of high school, the gym teacher's brother gets hired as the computer teacher. Nice guy, was personable, not as much as his brother but still. 2/3 through the year he just vanishes and most of the teachers don't want to talk about it. Eventually it gets out that when he was in college, the computer teacher got into a barroom brawl. During the brawl he took a pool ball, put it inside of a sock, swung it and smashed a guy in the head with it. The guy who got hit had permanent brain damage. The school found out midway through the year and that is why they let him go. Can you imagine the thought process it would take to conclude that your best course of action in a bar brawl was to take off a shoe, take off a sock, stuff a pool ball into it, and then hit someone? Wow. I'm not going to defend him for giving a guy brain damage, but when you look at it for what it was, it did seem to work rather well. Like, a guy could do worse for an improvised weapon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's terrible that the guy got brain damage. Very sad. But of all the choices, this guy could have made a stool, pool stick, maybe some cutlery, and his go-to is to MacGyver some medieval weaponry. You have to be impressed with that. On some level, you have to respect the creativity this man is capable of.